You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Brommer018. Link in the description. Do it now. Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It is Brommer18 here. Thank you for joining me today. And in this video, I'm going to give you guys a tutorial on stamina in FIFA 20. How to preserve it, how to make it more efficient, not drain so easily. For those of you who are regular viewers on the channel, you'll know that I do a FIFA 20 tactics series where we replicate real life systems in-game, and I show you how to recreate them. Well, sort of a lot of feedback that I've been getting on some tactics, particularly the extreme pressing, gegenpressing tactics, is that people's players' stamina drains too easily. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you a tutorial on some and give you some tips basically on how to make it more efficient and for that not to be a problem, fatiguing later in the match. So we got a normal kickoff game here. We're doing England versus Italy. I chose England just because generally, depending on their opponents, they will play a sort of a constant pressure style tactic. So I thought this works out well. A normal 4-3-3. We have, of course, also a little bit with positions, wing backs, and a cam as well. So first things first. Let's talk about constant pressure. Now, of course, if you want to play constant pressure, I've got a lot of tips in this video to tell you how to save stamina. But as a precaution, if you don't need to play it and you feel like you can get better results, elsewhere, then think about one of these two styles as well. Pressure on heavy touch or press after possession loss. Of course, a little bit more passive than a gegenpressing tactic, but still very good. Pressure on heavy touch is one in particular that I like to use on a regular basis. And, that can be really effective as well. But, of course, for those of you who want to play constant pressure, we'll talk about that next. So, we've got this set out normally. And the first thing that, tip that you want to take on board, something that we talk about a lot in the FIFA 20 tactics videos, is in the tactics, interceptions. Now, some people do seem to think that you should change it to aggressive interceptions when you're doing a high-pressing, intense tactic, because that sort of replicates the way in which they're playing. But actually, you should keep all of these on normal. And the reason being is if you change them to aggressive, you'll find that the stamina will drain a whole lot easier, particularly if you're doing something like career mode, maybe Ultimate Team as well, where you're playing, a high volume of games and they're not getting much rest in between, not recovering as much. So you want to turn these off aggressive and put them onto normal, because you'll still find, because of the constant pressure being set on tactics, that they will sort of look to intercept when there's loose passes, loose touches, etc. So you don't really find as much of an upside to changing it to aggressive interceptions. The only time I tend to change them to aggressive is for example, in the Carlo Ancelotti 4-3-2-1 tutorial that I did, we did change the Gattuso role to aggressive interceptions to try and replicate a ball-winning midfielder. But you'll rarely need to do that. That was more for the fact that, we are trying to replicate that system. So keep them all on normal, and you should see, a remarkable difference in stamina. So moving into the game itself now, the first tactic I want to show you to preserve stamina is something called resting in possession. Now, we've just got the ball at 2 minutes. And what I want you to do is, for 5 in-game minutes, so up until 7 minutes, I want you to simply get the ball across the midfield, across the defence, and just pass it about. Pass it about for 5 minutes. And what this is called is resting in possession. This is actually a system you'll find in use by lots of teams, lots of possession orientated based teams, and thankfully you're starting to hear it more now at grassroots level and in academy levels for younger kids. And it's a system, or it's a tactic that I find really useful, and a lot of teams will use it as well. Any possession-based team, really, the intelligent ones anyway, will use this system. And what you'll find is if you do this 2, 3, 4 times a match, just for a 5-minute spell, doesn't even have to be 5 minutes, can be just 3 or 4 maybe. Just pass it around the defence, and you'll find there's a whole lot less demand on your stamina and on your fatigue levels. Now, I've silly played my way into trouble there, but if you don't do something stupid like that, then you should be okay. Of course, make sure your team is on a possession system, and then you'll be able to replicate it, because they will drop off and you'll be able to play it to them. But don't worry, like, obviously, of course, there's a sort of stigma attached to it where, you know, other players, if you're playing online, for example, will say, oh, you know, you're just playing it around the back and there's this whole thing about it trying to annoy people and stuff. But don't worry about what other people think. You stick to the tactic. You make sure that it's as efficient as possible. And this is the best way of doing it. You won't find a better way of saving stamina than doing this. And then after you've done it for 5 minutes, you can then start to work your way up the field. Sort of tying in with that is the next tip, and that is something I'm going to title as jog less, pass more. And it's better to show. So if we get the ball with Maddison here, if we jog around with him, you'll see his stamina draining a whole lot. Look at that, his bar is going down at a ridiculous degree. And that's because he's simply jogging around. And the reason why EA implemented that is to try and stop people, say, for example, getting the ball with Messi online and just dribbling their way up the field. It's supposed to make it more challenging for people. So what you should do instead is pass more, jog less. So instead of, say, for example, I could just run into this space with Maddison and then Italy close it down well anyway. You don't need to jog into it. Instead, just pass your way. So, for example, I see Kane there now. We play it into him and away we can go. Yeah, so it's perfectly simple, and like I say, you'll find your stamina draining much more. Again, if we've got the ball with Maddison here, we're simply jogging around with the ball, and his stamina's draining just at an incredible rate. Whereas you don't need to do that. Just pass it off, but don't pass like Henderson did then, of course. And then you'll find it, again, degrading your stamina a whole lot less. And this sort of coincides with skill moves as well. So, for example, we get Rashford. And you see there, just that one little step over, put your stamina down a whole lot. If we get Sancho here as well, just see him doing it. And again, his stamina bar going down. And like I say, it's because they, of course, want to stop people from, you know, doing skill moves so much and making them so effective, unrealistically effective. So, particularly on Ultimate Team, what I find is when I come across players that do so many skills when they get into space, but they don't really need to. So if you're one of those people who likes to use a lot of skill moves, just calm down on them a little bit. Because like I say, as you can see here with Madders, simply doing step overs, it will, you know, it will drain on their stamina. So unless you absolutely need to, say you're in a one-on-one advanced situation, in which case skill moves will be the best option, then by all means. But if you don't need to, just play your way through it. And last but not least, what I want to talk about is your personal style of gameplay. Now, what you find in FIFA is when, you know, in terms of the way people play is, and not so much a mistake, but just sort of the way they play is they just try and force things a lot. They try and, you know, feed things that aren't there. They're very risky in the way they play. And it means that it becomes a very end-to-end game. And as a result, obviously, your players are going to drain in terms of their stamina is going to drain a whole lot more because they're just covering so much more ground. And what I sort of want to say is, and it's sort of a system that I use now a lot, is don't try and force things. You know, if they're not there, don't try and make them happen. Just pass it around a little bit more, be a little bit more composed, and then you'll see. You see, for example, there, we'll just wait a couple more seconds to get into a good position to feed it through to Sancho, and then, you know, we retain the ball. Again, instead of trying to force it through to Kane here when it's not on, we'll probe a little bit, and then you see Rashford. Now you've got him into space, and then we can whip it in, and Kane somehow misses. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm trying to say is just be a little bit more patient. You know, there's no need to be forcing things that aren't there, and then you end up giving the ball away, and then the opposition can, you know, counter you in space, and as a result, not only you obviously draining more, your stamina's draining quicker, but also you're probably going to be 1-0 down as a result. So yeah, like I say, don't try and force things that aren't there. Just have a little bit more patience, a little bit more purpose about your play, and then the things will come. And as you can see, Rashford is here through one-on-one, and somehow bottles it. So there you go. So that's really my general pointers for stamina, guys. I hope you guys can take them on board. And they can all work for you. They work for me very much. I don't really find much of a stamina issue anymore. Obviously, the other bits and pieces, say, for example, if you're playing career mode, rotation is key. And, of course, I'm a big career mode player, and anyone who watches my AC Milan series will know that, you know, we like to rotate a lot just to keep on top of that stamina issue. Again, for Ultimate Team, rotation or squad fitness as well. Just keep on top of it because it can have a big impact. But like I say, if you use these tips, you'll find that generally you're going to have a much better time of it, and you're not going to have anywhere near as much of a problem with stamina, and your players can therefore go on, last for longer, and you can carry out your tactics very effectively. So that would just about round it off. If you got any questions about this, guys, or anything else, please do let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you want to see more regular content from FIFA 20, then please do subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. Check out my AC Milan Career Mode series and also my FIFA 20 Tactics series as well. Plus, we'll be doing lots of odd FIFA videos here and there on various things, such as this one today with stamina. On that note, we are going to finish it off there. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Let me know you enjoyed it so that I can keep them coming. And on that note, until next time, I'll see you soon.